If you want to become confident with money, you have to be competent. That's step one. You have to be able to speak the basic language of money. And it's actually not that complicated. It's fun. You start to realize, oh my gosh, compound interest works this way. So if I put $1 in today, it's worth way more later. Okay, we all kind of get that. But when I show people a calculator of you're 32 years old, if you put this much a month in, this is how much you'll have. If you put that much, you'll have that much more. It's super counterintuitive. If you pay a financial advisor 1%, doesn't sound like a lot. 1%, as long as I don't have to worry about my money. Over the course of your life, that will take 28% of your returns out of your pocket and into your financial life.
Need motivation?
Watch a top 10 with Believe Nation.
Hey, it's Evan Carmichael, and I make these videos because I need them. Because I don't always wake up and feel motivated to go take on the day. And the thing that saves me, that helps me every day, is being around people who are thinking bigger, who are changing the world, and it gives me a little more inspiration to go after my mission. And so I hope this video helps you go after yours today too. So today let's learn from one of the best, Ramit Sethi, and my take on his top 10 rules of success. Enjoy.
In most parts of life, if you spend more time on it, you get better results. Cooking, to some extent fitness, certainly time with your partner or your children. In money, that is not true. When you see people tinkering around with their portfolio and trading, they actually tend to have way worse returns than somebody who puts it in a low-cost index fund and doesn't check into it for 10 years. There's a famous story, it's not clear if it's true or not, about Fidelity investors. So Fidelity, it's a fine firm, whatever. There were people who had forgotten about their money and they had died. So the money was just sitting in an account, just compounding, growing. Of course, these people were gone. They were dead, so they didn't log into their account, and the money kept growing. And they compared the returns of those dead investors from the average investor. The average investor gets only a fraction of the returns that you and I can get in an index fund. And anybody watching can get in an index fund. Why? Because the average investor is undisciplined. They are emotional. They log in, they get scared, they see the news, they sell, they call their friend, they hear about some land deal, they do all this crazy stuff, and they lose their returns. So the counterintuitive thing with investing is the more time you spend, often you get worse results. So set it with the right plan, and then forget it.
Rule number 2 is focus on quality.
I think we all intuitively have this idea of quality over quantity, but if you look in somebody's closet or you look at the things in their house, there may be some incongruity. So for example, my car is 17 years old. It's a good car. For me, it was a fine car. I don't care. It rides fine. It's a 4-door Honda Accord. I told you, very sensible, long-term, great. Buy the best, keep it for a long time. It's the same with clothes. Those things matter to me. I like that. And so I'll buy something that might seem very expensive, but I'll keep it for a long time.
Good for the environment as well.
Yeah.
Rule number 3 is manage your finances.
What are the tactical things that, when you're starting out, that you can do to start putting yourself in a better position to either earn more, save more, afford more?
So part of it is getting your financial infrastructure right. I'll name names because I found this useful. I used to watch Oprah, and Oprah would tell us, her favorite cars and this and that. And I just want to know what Oprah likes because I trust Oprah. So I'll just tell you the accounts that I use and the ones I like and the ones I don't. I'm not, by the way, partnered with any of these companies at all. So I think getting your financial infrastructure in place is the step one. So that is, your money should be flowing into your checking account, which is like your email inbox. And for that, I use a Schwab account, right? Again, I'm being very tactical so you know exactly what I use. From there, you set up automation so that part of it goes towards saving. And there are lots of great savings accounts. There's Ally, Marcus, there's a whole bunch. They're basically commodities at this point. Part of your money is drawn out automatically and it goes to an investing account. Lots of great investment accounts like Vanguard is where I use.
We use Fidelity.
Yeah, they're great. There's lots of low cost ones. I don't like these day trading bullshit apps that are out.
We're going to talk about that.
Okay, all right. And by the way, the banks I hate, Bank of America, I hate you. Wells Fargo, I also hate you. They are predatory. Do not use these banks. I don't care if your mom and dad opened your account at 13. Get out. There's also sub-savings goals. So remember, a lot of, you always hear people, you got to save more. You got to save more. For what? Why am I saving? Nobody ever talks about that. Here's the answer. You're saving for your trip to Thailand. You're saving for perhaps a down payment on a house. You're saving for this great dinner, this huge dinner with your whole family. There are sub-savings accounts you can set up and it automatically flows. And then at the end pops out, your fixed expenses, your rent, mortgage, whatever, and also your guilt-free spending. So under my automation system, when you go out to a restaurant, you never have to feel guilty because you already know your savings are already taken care of. Your investments are already taken care of. And you know exactly how much you can afford to spend here guilt-free.
Rule number 4 is understand money.
What are some of the biggest lies that society and parents tell us that ends up keeping people broke and breaking up relationships?
We're told that investing has to be complicated, that you have to be some genius looking at a screen with these numbers like PE ratios running through it all day. That's not true. We are told that you have to buy a house because buying a house is always the best financial investment. That's not always true. And we're told that when it gets to a relationship, there's so many lies in a relationship. Some of them are, he's a spender, she's a saver. Or I'm not the money person, my partner takes care of that. And we accept that. And that leads to a lot of disasters in relationships. So the problem with money is that we're told all these things, and because we don't really understand how it works, we just accept it. It's like the way I accept my car. I don't know how it works. I just put the key in and turn it on. That's all I need to know. But money isn't like a car. It cuts across everything in our life. That's why I think it's so important that we understand it.
Also, to make sure you're actually taking action after watching this video, I've designed a special free worksheet just for this video. The worksheet will highlight all of the lessons learned in this video, as well as pull out our 3 favorite learnings and quotes that will inspire you to actually do something. The worksheet will also give you space to write down what your key takeaways are and your specific plan of action to make sure you're getting results. If you want the worksheet designed specifically for this video, absolutely for free, there's a link in the description below. Go click on it and start building the momentum in your life and your business. I'll see you there.
Rule number 5 is increase your income.
Let's think about the people that might be listening now. So there's going to be someone that is they're a bus driver, or they are a social media manager, they are a cleaner, they're a teacher, they are a personal trainer. If your job was to make that person a millionaire in 20 years from now, whatever your age they are right now, and you were their financial advisor. Yeah. In fact, you were controlling all of their personal, professional decisions. Talk me through what you would do with that individual at a very detailed level.
I would do a few things. Number one, that the most important things I would do would be set up automatic investing and be aggressive about it. 2, they have to increase their income.
Okay, I'm going to be that person. I'm going to embody that person that I've just described. So increase my income. I'm a personal trainer.
Perfect.
Okay, so what shall I do?
All right, you're a personal trainer. So first off, I would say, how much are you charging? How are you finding your clients? We talk about that. And let's say you're charging $100 an hour and you have clients, they say, how long do they stay on average?
That's exactly what I'm
2
charging.
months. Perfect. Great.
They stay longer than 2 months. I'm very good.
How long do they stay?
3 months.
3 months. Wow. Okay. You're very good. All right. So your average client is worth few $1,000s.
Yeah.
Great. So you're making, let's say, $60,000, $70,000 a year. All right. The first thing after I understand all this information, I would say, all right, we're going to double your income. How are we going to do that? The first answer everyone gives is, I got to find more clients. Okay, you should. You should ask your clients, hey, I've got a few slots available. Who would you recommend? So you should get more clients. Second, you're going to listen to your clients and you're going to say, what else are you looking for? I know you've got your fitness journey you're going on. They're going to tell you, I've got a 10-year reunion. I want to plan for that. Another person's going to say, gosh, I know I should be eating healthier, but it's really hard for me. So you're thinking about it. Here's what you do. You create, you package up meal planning services. You can either do their macros for them and charge them a little bit extra. Let's say an extra $200 a week or $200 a month. You can also partner with a food delivery service and you coordinate with that company to feed over their macros and it gets delivered to them and you take a small cut. Right there, you've added thousands and thousands of dollars per year per client, as long as they stick with you. In addition to that, you can do group sessions. So you go, hey, I'm gonna do a weekend session. I'd like for you to invite your friends. Invite them for free. And of course, of the people who come, let's say you get 15, 20 people to come, you do a free little session on Saturday. You go, I'm a trainer, I work in Soho, I have 3 open slots. That's how you're finding new clients now. So you're doing 2 things. You're finding new clients, you're increasing your average lifetime value per client, okay? That's 2 things. Now let's do one last thing. Let's increase the duration that they stick with you. They're sticking with you for 3 months. Give them a special offer to stay with you for 6 months. So when they sign up, they work out with you for a month. You say, look, it's $100 right now. If you stick with me for a 6-month plan, I will give you my sessions at $95 per plan. You'll save X 5%. 1, 2, 3. You've increased. And if we did the math, you may have doubled your revenue. You certainly boosted your profit in a huge way.
Rule number 6 is don't sell investments.
Don't sell investments. Follow the plan. So many of you have read chapter 3 and chapter 7 of my book, and you know that I talk about low-cost, long-term investing. And you know that I talk about how the market goes up and down, but over time it tends to go up at an average return of approximately 7 to 8% per year. Notice I said average. Some years it could go up 25%, some years it could drop 14%. But on average, that is what the historical return tells us. Because I've read enough, and because I've been involved in the personal finance world for a long time, and because I've been through recessions with smaller amounts of money in my account, to me this was just a small test to be able to follow my own plan. And my plan says, stick with the plan. Keep investing as I've always done. And in fact, if I have extra money, go ahead and add that to the market. Now, this is really interesting because as recently as today, I posted someone who wrote me, and I have to read you guys what this person sent me because it's quite the opposite. Let me show you here. How do I do this? I'm trying to look at my own IG story right now while I'm live on Instagram. Wow, this is I've never attempted this. And anyway, let me just tell you what this person said. They were like, Ramit, I read your whole book. It was great. Unfortunately, last week I got scared and I sold all my investments. What should I do? I was like, I posted it to IG and I was like, what would you say to this person? There's a person who has the information. They know all about long-term returns, etc. But it doesn't matter because emotionally they did not connect with it. They didn't believe it. And so they made a huge, tragic money mistake. If you can simply not make a huge money mistake right now, that is a huge benefit to you over the long term. And if you can keep investing, wow, over the long term, you will probably do very, very well.
Rule number 7 is create a well-diversified portfolio.
Once you have a well-diversified portfolio, which means whether it's a target date fund, as I talk about in chapter 7, or you want to pick your own index funds because you think you're a little bit more sophisticated, fine. Once you have a well-diversified portfolio and your money's flowing, if I ask you what percent is going to this, you know the answer. If I say, when can you afford to take that trip to Norway, you can tell me that. When you have that, you're all good, all flowed, you're using IWT or whatever you're using, and you decide, Ramit, I want to take 5% of my money and invest it in speculative assets. I say, God bless you. All right, pat on the back, go for it. You want to invest in your, degenerate friend's bar? Go ahead.
Similar to angel investing. Like
angel investing.
That's how I look at angel investing.
Perfect. You're probably going to lose your money. I know you think you're superior to everybody else. That's fine. Whatever. Maybe you make a lot, probably lose it. Fine. It's fun money. Once you get pretty good at this financial stuff, you go, okay, this is kind of boring. Maybe I want to have a little fun with it. And I'm all for it. But you got to have your diversified portfolio set up. Now, when you say this to these crypto guys, I'm 39 years old, by the way, they go, old man, that might have worked in the past, but this is the new time. That's code for a phrase we all make fun of in personal finance, which goes, this time it's different. It's never different. Okay, they said that in 2000 and 2001. Oh, tech is taking over. All these other valuations are, it was not different. That crashed. 2008, oh, different. Real estate, that crashed. They say it every time. It's never different. So it's kind of a running joke among sophisticated investors. Again, if you choose to invest in crypto, which I would call a very speculative asset, awesome. Make sure that you've got a well-diversified portfolio first.
Rule number 8 is work with people you like.
I decided long ago that I only want to work with people that I like and respect. And so I earn enough money so that I can do that. And to me, who you surround yourself with matters profoundly. Ideas seep into your consciousness, values seep in. If I'm around people who, when I look at the calendar, when I have a meeting with them, I dread it, I already know it's the beginning of the end.
Most of us have to work with assholes though, right? Like
Yeah.
I say have to, I shouldn't use that word. I don't like saying have to, but most of us spend most of our lives, especially the early part of our lives, working with assholes.
We work with people that we may not particularly choose ourselves. I think that's probably... So yes, I built a life where I could make that decision for myself. Yeah. I'm the CEO of my business, but I think what is important there is the intentionality behind it. It's like, even if I worked at a company, I would be deciding on which division I want to work in, which boss I want to transfer under, based on do I like and do I respect him. That's it. The intention is there. Again, these are my rules, not anybody else's, but if this one strikes you, then the way that I would interpret this is, wow, who in my life do I not like? Who do I not respect? Do I need to be around them? Maybe it's not work. Maybe it's the friend that I hang out with socially on Saturdays. Again, we have a choice, not on everything, but in the things we do have a choice. What a shame if we don't use it.
Rule number 9 is look for opportunities.
Look for new opportunities. So it's one thing if you are playing defense and, for example, you're building up an emergency fund. Do that first. Prioritize that. It's another thing if you've already been doing the plan and executing it, which I've been doing my own plan for a long time. So then I said to myself, all right, I acknowledge reality. I made plans. I took care of my family. What now? Let's start looking for opportunities. And honestly, I don't know what those opportunities will turn out to be. I'm here, I'm chatting with you guys. I love doing this. I'm getting more DMs than ever. I'm having fun. So who knows what this turns into? I'm watching a lot of TV. Is that going to lead to any new opportunities? Vanderpump? Probably not, but we can always hope. The point here is there's a certain point once you have finished playing defense where you can actually play offense. And one of the opportunities I would say is that IWT as a company is donating a huge amount. That is an opportunity that I would not have thought about. And we could only do because we spent a lot of time building the company to being profitable.
And rule number 10, the last one before some very special bonus clips, is start investing.
Investing does not mean you have to wear a suit and tie and be looking at 15 screens with green letters rolling across. This is all bullshit, okay? Real investors are not checking their accounts every day. You know how often I advise people to look at their investment accounts? Once every 6 months. It's boring. This is not a TNT drama, okay? You want to have fun? Get HBO. This is not that. Investing is you set it up once, you automatically have money sent from your checking account every month, and that's it. That's it. And you can actually mathematically predict exactly when you will become a millionaire or have 500K or 5 million. So what kind of investments are we talking about? In my opinion, the investments that I have put most of my net worth into are simple, low-cost index funds. Now, let me tell you what an index fund is. Most people think, investing is like picking stocks. No, it's not. Even Wall Street professional investors, when they pick stocks, they fail to beat an index fund over 80% of the time. So an index fund is basically a collection of different stocks. Imagine those Planters peanuts you get, you know those ones? Instead of just trying to pick out peanuts, you get the Planters mixed nuts. It's got the almonds and the pecans and all that stuff. That's an index fund. It's got a whole bunch of different stocks in it. When you invest, you do not have to become an expert in these companies. The simplest thing you can possibly do to start investing today is to get something called a target date fund. Now, let me tell you why this is so easy and how it works. Let's pretend that you are, 30 years old, let's just say, okay? And that means that we can assume you're going to retire in 35 years, okay? So what you do is you go over to Fidelity or Vanguard or any of the places that I talk about in my book, and you open up a target date fund. The target date fund is going to be like a 2050 fund or whatever the number is that corresponds to when you retire. All it is one simple fund. It's like a pie chart. And all you do is just send money in there every month. Now, when you get this target date fund, again, we're talking about how do I start investing? When you invest in a target date fund, it's low cost, it's really cheap, and all you're doing is picking one fund. It's automatically diversified. So your only job is just to put as much money as you possibly can into it. And as you get a little older, it will automatically become conservative, and you can predict, because we know the historical returns of the market, which are about 7 or 8% per year, you can actually predict when you will become a millionaire. I'll tell you what, I think that, you remember the book, The Emperor Has No Clothes? Yeah. I remember learning about money while I was studying human behavior and psychology. And I remember a moment where I said, the emperor has no clothes. All this advice that people give us about money, like cut back on lattes. I intuitively just said, I don't want to do that. I don't want to live a life where I'm cutting back on $3 expenses and tracking every single penny for my entire life.
Like on a budget.
Yeah, and like living a life of scarcity. Oh, I can't spend money on lattes, I can't go out, I just got to go in a cave and save money for 80 years. And maybe I can live like that. I didn't want to live like that. And I looked around and none of my friends did either. And here we are, beautiful Manhattan. A lot of people here don't want to live like that. So I wanted to live in a way that allowed me to say, I want to go out and buy a round of drinks for my friends. I want to spend on the things I love, and I don't want to be sitting there typing in Excel every single day for 3 hours. My rich life is to set up my systems, automate them so that they run beautifully, and then get off my chair and live outside the spreadsheet. That's my rich life. And so I started integrating psychology and money, and it grew, and now it's got millions of readers, and here I am. I teach people how to negotiate their salaries and how to negotiate fees from their credit cards and bank accounts. So rent is just a natural one. Because for most people, rent is their largest single expense. It's a high leverage point. And this is just a typical way that Americans believe that they simply have to accept what's handed to them, right? Oh, my bank leveraged a $37 late fee on them. Well, your bank works for you. Why don't you call them up and ask for them to negotiate that? And they will. Chapter 1 of my book. Well, I did the same thing with rent. You don't simply accept a rent increase. You want to understand the context around it. So my building was quite aggressive. They would always try to raise rent. Of course they would. It's a capitalist system. Of course they're going to try to maximize their profit. I get that. No hard feelings, but you need to know that I'm going to maximize my opportunity as well. So I would always have my eye on articles on New York City rent. And I would just file them away. I would tag them. And then when time came for my lease, we'd have a meeting. And they would say something like, we want to raise your rent X dollars. And I would say, so first I would understand the power dynamic. At a time like this right now, tenants have very low power. Okay, very low. So you try to negotiate your rent, you have low power because there's a housing shortage and there's more demand. That's why prices are going up. Simple supply and demand. Sometimes, especially during the 10 plus years I lived in New York, prices were going down. So I would go in there and I would use my briefcase technique And that is a whole procedure of how you can present to clients or a boss, and you can negotiate $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 raises. And I would say, I appreciate you. Tell me where you came up with that number. And they would give me some bullshit. And I would say, okay, thanks. Now let me show you my research. And I would show them that the comps in the neighborhood were down, 6% sometimes, or flat. And I would say, so that rent increase isn't going to work for me. In fact, I would like to discuss a decrease. Now, landlords will almost never decrease your rent. They play lots of games. If they decrease it, it has to show. So what they would do instead, they would say, we'll give you a couple of months free. I said, great, I will take it. And of course, I took that money and I flowed it through my Chapter 5 automation system. Some of it got invested, some of it got saved, and some of it got spent on guilt-free spending. Over 10 years, this is going to shock people. Over 10 years, I essentially paid the same amount in rent at the beginning and at the end. Let me say that again.
That's incredible.
It's crazy. My rent went up and down. And that is how rent works. Everybody listen, rent does not just go up. Rent is subject to the laws of supply and demand, just like chicken.
Yep.
So if chicken prices go up and down and gas prices go up and down, so does housing. The key is you have to ask.
Right.
My rent went up sometimes and I accepted it. I would try, but negotiation is a dance. And sometimes it stayed flat and that was fine.
Right.
And sometimes it went down and I took the win. Over the course of 10 years, it went up and down, but essentially it ended up with a slight increase, basically flat.
This is more the art of it. The art of it is setting dreams that are things you actually want. And a rich life, let me tell you what a rich life is. A rich life can be picking up your daughter from school every day at 3 p.m. That could be a rich life for you. A rich life could be buying a $1,500 coat. A rich life could be traveling 2 months a year. Money matters, of course. Money is a small but important part of a rich life. But if you ask people listening right now, what is your rich life? You'll often find that they haven't really thought about it. It's too intimidating. It's too scary. And deep down, they don't believe they can achieve it. So they say words like travel and I want to get healthier and, I'd like to clean my garage out. All fine. You should probably clean your garage out. I've seen some of these garages. They're absolutely atrocious.
That's a don't look at mine, dude. Don't look at mine.
Yeah, no judging. However, when it comes to money, so much of it is negative. People think about money. They've been warned of all the things that can go wrong. Oh, you better increase your savings rate. Ooh, don't do this. And what I'm here to talk about is what you can do with your money. Why money should be a source of joy and adventure and memorability. That is much more inspiring and much more likely to cause a real change in your life.
What's a few simple things that they should be doing right now to have a checklist to do before the end of the year to then crush for a whole 12 months moving forward?
All right. I'm going to give you something called the ladder of personal finance, which tells you where your money should go. Okay, this is just step by step, put your money here. And if you want to know all the details about it, you can check out the system. So
it's in the book too?
It's in great detail in the book.
Got it.
All right. So if you've got some money lying around, what should you do with it? First of all, if you've got a 401k match at work, you should max that out. That's free money. Take advantage of it. And if you're not sure what that means, go to your HR person and say, does this company match any 401k contributions? If they say yes, do what I said. Next, if you've got debt, pay it off. Pay it off aggressively. What's interesting is that most people in debt who I talk to don't actually know how much they owe. And that's shocking. You would think, of course they would know. No, they don't, because who wants to proactively
stare at their debt all day?
Yeah, and just feel bad about it.
Yeah.
But you know what? You feel much better when you have a plan. And the number one question I ask folks when they tell me they have debt, I say, number one, do you know how much you owe? They never do. Number two, for the rare people who say, 15,000 or 70,000, whatever, I say, what is your debt payoff date? You can actually plug it in. You can plug in a debt payoff calculator online. You can map it all out, and you will be able to know the exact month your debt will be paid off.
Based on how much you're spending right now.
Based on how much you're contributing to that debt payoff. Now, you will be able to see that if you add an extra $50 a month or $100 a month, that thing will actually oftentimes shorten by years because of the interest. It doesn't matter if it's going to take you 3 months
or 4 years to pay off your debt. It doesn't matter to me. What matters is that you know the date. Okay, so that's number 2, pay off any debt you've got. 3, if you've got money left over, go to your Roth IRA. And if you can, max that out. That's a great tax advantaged account.
It grows tax deferred, is that right?
Yeah. Okay, so
that's 3.
That's 3. Okay, it's actually post-tax money. And then 4, if you still got money, you're going to go back to your 401k, which is another tax advantaged account. You're going to max that out. If you still got money, you're going to create a non-taxable, non-retirement account and just put your money in there. Now, there's a few other wrinkles to this. There's HSAs available. There's also your emergency fund that's talked about in the book, and all these things. They're details. But that just shows you, when you've got money, this is where you go. There's a structured way of thinking about it.
A ladder towards financial success.
Exactly. And if you follow the steps, it's almost like a waterfall. It just goes from step 1 to step 2 to step 3, and your money's going where it needs to go automatically, and you will feel great. You'll feel great, which is so important. And also, you're going to look at your accounts and see debt's going down. Investment and savings are going up. And all of a sudden, you wake up 6 months from now, and you're like, oh my God, I didn't realize I have that much saved in my savings account. That's because of the decision you made today.
After running this business for 12 years, I think my beliefs changed. I believe now that the world will always try to get you to be vanilla. The world wants you to do everything like them. They want you to lower your prices. The world will pull you down. They want you to make your website look like everybody else's. Easy, fast, secure. And the minute you do it, they abandon you. The world wants you to look exactly like it. And the minute you do it, they will abandon you.
I didn't ever start the site to generate revenue. So it was a blog. In fact, I didn't generate a cent of revenue for about 3 years. And I didn't put ads, I didn't do anything, because I didn't want people to think that this was some way for me to make a quick buck. I mean, the name of the site alone, it already kind of makes you like, who's this weird guy? So eventually, about 3 years after starting it, I said, I want to just try selling something on the site. I'd never sold anything online. And this was late 2006. So there weren't a lot of people selling a ton of stuff online, but I said, let me put together a small ebook. It was about 30 pages, and I sold it for $4.95. And I absolutely love this because, first of all, that number is so small. And now, we have courses that sell for over $12,000.
Yeah.
And yet that $5 ebook was the most scared I've ever been about selling anything. So remember, I've been writing for free for 3 years, probably 3 to 5 times a week. I had a community that was really loyal. So these people there were like hundreds of comments on posts. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm gonna post this. So I post the ebook. It was a good ebook, and it was beautifully designed. And I was afraid that people would call me a sellout, that people would say, oh, so this is a trick. You've just been building this up so you can sell. And actually, that's exactly what happened. I had people, and the comments are still live, you can go back and look at it, where people said, oh, I will teach me to be rich. And oh, so clearly you've jumped the shark. All these horrible things. And as an entrepreneur, that really hits you in the gut, because I felt betrayed that I had been doing this for free for years, and I felt that people were questioning my ethics, that why would I play a 3-year trick, right? And just all these, and also when you think about it, is selling really tricking someone? No, I don't believe it is. But back then, I was scared to sell. I didn't think anyone would buy. I was selling from my heels, which means I was almost apologizing.
Right.
And so many entrepreneurs do that. Oh, I'm afraid. So what am I going to do? I'm going to lower my price.
Yeah.
That'll make them love me. and of course, all of those things were wrong. What stood out to me, though, was that while there were all these loud, vocal minority commenters who were worthless, they were never going to buy no matter what.
Right.
There was a quiet group of people who were buying. And I could see the numbers. They were buying, they were sending me really positive emails, they were opening my emails more, so I could see the math. And I was kind of confused. How come there's this loud vocal minority of complainers, and then there are these people who are actually loving it and saying, what's next?
Right.
So that's when I made the decision that I didn't understand what was going on, but there was something going on here.
Yeah.
And I want to figure it out. And over the next 3 years, I dive deep into the psychology of selling, into how to create world-class products, pricing, basically how to create value that people are so happy to pay that price is a mere triviality. I think that there are definitely systemic problems when it comes to things like inequality. When I think it comes to things like student loan debt, yes, those are problems, and there needs to be a lot of work done on those. And we can simply look at history to see how crazy tax rates are compared to where they've been historically, or how crazy student loan debt is compared to where it was historically. But whenever I hear someone who starts complaining about the, large-scale societal problems, I just have one question. I say, do you invest in your 401k? And it's one thing to talk about systemic problems, and we should talk about them and tackle them. But the best thing we can do for ourselves is to focus on what we can control. And that's what I believe. That's why I'm here. Some people work on systemic problems. I'm here to help people one-on-one with their money and their psychology.
Yeah, that to me is a very interesting and powerful approach. I come at it the same way. I was giving a talk at Google, and there was an African-American gentleman in the front row, and basically the question was like, is it harder for me? And my answer was, yes, that seems pretty apparent, but now what? So you can go try to tackle that systemic problem, and I'm super glad that there are people who are wired for that.
Yeah.
But for me, I'm always like, what can I do right now today? Because when you're dealing with huge systemic problems, you're doing something amazingly altruistic for the next generation, but the odds of you being able to reap the benefits of that are pretty slim.
Yeah, so, I agree. And I think that when you can start to take control and make one step after another, for example, for people who are in debt, it's so interesting. When people write me about how to get out of debt, over 90% of them don't know how much they owe. So if you don't know how much you owe, I understand that. Why would you want to open up the emails and the bills? You don't know what's inside, but you know it's bad. But the first step to doing that, to paying it off, is to open it up, confront reality, get real, and then make a plan. And all of those things can be done in and of yourself without regards to what's going on outside your house or outside your email inbox.
I would like to issue a challenge for everybody listening.
All right.
Everybody listening. I call it the $100 challenge. I would like for you to think about something you love, and I would like for you to spend $100 in the next 48 hours. Now, here are the rules. You're not allowed to spend it on your kids. You're not allowed to spend it on your pet. You're not allowed to spend it on anybody else. It's only for you. And if you have a high net worth, I want you to adjust that number upwards. I spoke to a couple on my podcast. This episode is coming out in just a couple of weeks. They have an $8 million net worth. And I issued the same challenge to them. They adjusted the numbers upward. So it's up to you. The point is, I want you to build the skill of spending. And I want you to write me. Send me a DM on Instagram, or if you're on my email newsletter, send me an email. My email's all over there. I'm on Twitter as well. I want to hear what you did with your $100 challenge. The point of this is to show yourself, you know what? I'm worth it. I can spend on myself. And when I do spend 100 or 500, whatever the number is you choose, the world is not going to end. My retirement is not going to fall off track. I can do it, and I can experience satisfaction, happiness, convenience. $100, that's what I would like to issue that challenge to everybody listening.
If you bring anyone on the show who tells you what's going to happen in the stock market, they're an idiot and or they're lying. So I'm not going to do that. Nobody knows. And you'll find this in politics and money. A lot of people want to be comforted by essentially a parental figure, somebody who comes in here and tells you it's all going to be okay. Or conversely, it's all going to and they prey on people's weaknesses as to what's going on. The best investors are humble. They know that nobody knows anything. What do we know? We know that over time, the market continues to return approximately 7 to 8%, and that's over 100 plus years. We know that there are always people on Reddit and Twitter who've got these fanciful narrations of what's going on in the world.
and they all disappear once the narrative is proved incorrect. So people have been talking about inflation forever. This is very low inflation. And in fact, even the recent inflation numbers are, I think over 30% of it is due to used car prices, okay? If you try to peg your investments to macroeconomics, you will be potentially losing out on lots of money.
What I do with my financial system is I set a target each year. This is how much money I'm going to save and invest. And those numbers are aggressive. That's a lot of money.
You're going hard.
Yeah, like
so
every year.
10%, 30%?
Yeah, so anywhere between those ranges. And we have folks who...
Of what you earn.
Correct.
Yeah.
And then remember, whenever I make any unexpected income, let's say I did a speaking gig or something. Yeah, I might get myself I might go out to dinner, but the rest I'm just putting straight in investments.
Wow.
Okay, so that money grows aggressively. And I also want to remind everybody, especially the entrepreneurs watching, I know you have a lot of entrepreneurs, you wouldn't believe how many entrepreneur friends I know who have a good business and they don't invest at all. And that's a huge mistake.
What should you be investing in if you have a good business?
Simple, low-cost, target date funds is a great way to go. Entrepreneurs...
So index funds?
Yeah, index funds.
Yeah.
They get a little too smart for their own good. They say, I could just put that money in my business. And I always say, look, I'm glad you have a business that's throwing off tons of cash. That's awesome. Most businesses don't last 80 years. So be smart. Give yourself a small plan B. Put $5K a month, $10K a month, whatever's appropriate for your level of success. And hey, maybe your business does really well. That's awesome. But maybe one day something goes wrong. Always want to be prepared. You never want to have your back against the wall. So I just want to encourage everybody, whether you're making $250K or $2.5 million for the high earners here, don't get too smart for your own good. Keep investing and saving.
If you don't build a habit of saving right now, you're never going to do it. You didn't do it when the economy was good. You're not doing it when the economy is bad. You're never going to do it. So I want everyone listening to force themselves, take advantage of this situation and really change your behaviors. Get that emergency fund in order. Yes, it will cost you because you won't be investing right now. And that sucks. But if you don't have 12 months, that is the price you pay for not having saved it. And it's okay. All of us are operating at different levels. We all have different advantages in society. It doesn't mean that you're being penalized or that you're morally wrong, but I do believe you should focus on the emergency fund first, invest second.
There's two key things that stop people from moving forward, and it stops them for months, years, even decades. So the first one is, I don't have an idea. Oh, you don't have an idea? So what does that mean? You're just going to wait for an idea to fall down from the sky? Oh, I don't have an idea either. You find an idea and you search out for it and you generate hundreds of ideas and then you slice and dice them and test them. So that's number one, the idea that a lack of idea is stopping you. That should never be the case. There are ways to generate ideas and then test them for profitability. That's what we talk about on our site. The second thing is, I don't have any time. Please give me a break. You don't have any time? Yes, you do. So it's almost like if you say, I don't have time, that's a politically correct way to say this is not a priority. Because no one can ever disagree with you and say, hey, you actually have time. It's sort of very politically incorrect to say. But if somebody says, I don't have time, like, yeah, I'm really busy too, man. So don't say that. When you start using phrases to describe yourself in a negative way, it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. So like I used to say, I'm just a skinny Indian guy. I used to weigh 50 pounds. I was very skinny. I was 50 pounds skinnier than I am now. And I was like, I'm just a skinny Indian guy. I can't put on any muscle. Wrong. I just wasn't eating enough and I wasn't working out. But because I said that, it became part of my identity. So when you say, I don't have time, I'm so busy, or the worst, I'm overwhelmed, then you become overwhelmed.
Yeah.
So if you fix those two things, know that you can find not just one idea, you can find hundreds of ideas. And the second thing is, you do have time. The world is under your control. The world does not control you. If you change those two things, you are very likely to succeed.
I was giving a talk and I asked somebody what they love spending on, and she said clothes. She said she loves buying clothes. I said, great. And she was so excited. I love whenever you ask people, their eyes light up. And I asked her, what would it look like if you quadrupled your spending? And she said, I would have clothes everywhere. Like all day long, I'd be ordering online. I'd be sending half of them back. And I said, where do you shop? And she said, Topshop. And I said, okay, so you quadrupled your spending. Where would you shop? She said, Topshop. I just have a lot more. And it was fascinating because when you ask people what they love spending on and if they could spend more, what would they do?
Most people have never thought about it. She had limited herself into the box of Topshop. Now, I don't know, Topshop's perfectly fine, that's fine. But I guarantee you, if you quadrupled or 10x your spending on the thing you love, your money dial, you might shop at a different brand. You might even fly to the factory that makes them and get a behind the scenes tour, as I did when we went on our honeymoon. So why I'm sharing this is that so many of us operate in a linear way. Oh, if I have this thing I like coffee, I might get 2 coffees a day. But what if you actually truly love it? You might go to the coffee factory and bring your family with you. So there's this whole idea of what you can do with a rich life. And it doesn't just mean more stuff. It could be experiences. It could be security, like buying a house in a place that keeps you safe, or staying in a hotel where you're around things that are comfortable for you. There's so many different ways to look at a rich life. And most people, I want to challenge them to really think what it would feel like to spend more on the thing they love. Of course, if they cut costs mercilessly on the things they don't.
Because you made it this far in the video, I want to celebrate you. Most people start and don't finish. Most people never actually follow through. Most people say they want something, but they don't ever do the work to actually get it. But you are different. You are special. Believe Nation, you made it here all the way to the end, and I love you. So as a special celebration, if you put a hashtag believe down in the comments below on this video, I will showcase you and celebrate you somewhere on the screen in a future video, because you are awesome.
For 10 more amazing rules from Alex Hormozi, check the video right there next to me. I think you'll love it. Continue to believe, and I'll see you there.
The brand that you're going to build in a local community is going to be based on the quality of your product and your service. Your reputation is going to be based on that. And so if you feel like you want to strengthen your brand, strengthen the product.